Okay, so Sanet is Braydon's mom. Okay, you wouldn't think it looks like sister, but she is his mom. And Braydon is a grade 11, and he's been involved with the Amplified Youth for the last, 5, 6 years or so. And he's such a blessing. It's just incredible what he's doing and the value that he's adding at Amplified Youth. But some backstory is that some years ago, when he was like grade 3 and 4, around there, his relationship with God was in a terrible state. He was really not in good space. So we want to share a little bit of the journey that he has been through, so you guys can see what God is doing through Amplified Youth. So Sanet, give us some background. Grade 4, 5. Where was he at? What you experiencing?
Okay, so Braydon has always been a serious child. Even younger than that, he would ask serious questions as to why do people die? Why does God take people away? All of those kind of things. But when he was about grade 4 or 5, he actually came out and he says, I don't believe there is a God. I don't believe heaven is real. And I was like, what? What's going on here? As a parent, you don't always know how to answer it. You try to the best of your ability. But he's also one of those guys, he likes facts, not just hearsay. So, that's when I came to Andre and I said, can we please pray for this child? Because I don't know where to go to anymore. And I didn't want to leave it up just to a phase that he's going through. That's when we asked you to pray for him. And then a few days later after that, he had a dream. And God showed him 3 paths, heaven, earth, and hell. And God took him on the heaven path, and they went into a building that looked like a church, and the stage was like nice and white and bright, and angels were singing. And when he came out, there was a playground, which was actually, I would say, very appropriate for the age that he's in. And then God took him on the earth path and just basically said to him, this is where I'm walking with you. So, and he also had a lot of anger at that point in time. His temper was extremely short, didn't know where that came from always, didn't know always how to deal with that. And ever since that, he also came to Amplified Youth, and then things started to change.
So I remember when Sanet asked us here in the front of the church to pray for him, and we were engaging with him, and I was like, he was like anti. I mean, he was like aggressively like, there is no God kind of thing. It was abnormal for a grade 4 young person, So there was really like the enemy was coming for his heart and ultimately for his future. And so we prayed with Braydon, and then the dream came, and so that started a shift in his life. And then Braydon, you started to come to Amplified Youth. And then you had an encounter with God. So give us a bit of context. What happened? Share with us what happened that evening.
So I go to Amplified Youth, and I think it was probably the 3rd week that I went. We normally use a venue just across, but we couldn't use it that night. We couldn't use this church venue. So we ended up using the lobby over here to the side. And it wasn't a big crowd, it was a small crowd. And we just had just a little projector there. Everybody was standing around, and we ended up going to worship. And then this one song came on, and I just broke down into tears. And I fell to the ground, and I had such an amazing encounter with the Lord.
That's awesome. And when you got up from the ground, you really felt a shift in your walk with God.
It was a life-changing moment. It was completely awesome. Life-changing.
Yeah, praise God. So I remember that evening, we were praying for the young people. Next moment I saw he's on the floor, and it was just amazing because I knew where he was coming from, and wow. And I know one encounter, real encounter with God can shift one. It can shift your whole life. And that's what he experienced. And so since that was like grade 6, grade 7, around there. And so since then, he's been involved at Amplified Youth almost every Friday evening. And it's just been awesome to see the trajectory that Braydon's been on, and the change that's been in his life. It's incredible. So some highlights of what you've experienced with Amplified Youth and being involved.
So it's really difficult to actually choose a highlight because, every week we have some sort of highlight going on. It's amazing every single week. I mean, take last week, for example. For half the time, we were just having water balloon fights. But then for the next half, we had some of the most amazing worship I've ever had. You know, so it's such a nice place to be because there's fun, but then there's also fun. You know?
Amen. Real fun. Jesus fun.
But then if I had to choose like a single highlight, I'd definitely say a youth camp that we went on in 2017. We went to Arena for the weekend. And it was, how do I explain this? It was the craziest weekend we've ever had in our life. The amount of encounters that we had, everybody had an encounter on that weekend. And by the end, every single person that went got baptized.
Yeah, awesome. And parents, for those who don't understand, crazy means it was really good. Really, really good. I know you guys struggle to understand. But it was a beautiful weekend. And we've seen the change in people's lives. So I wanted to interview them because I want to highlight two things. What if we didn't pray with Braydon when he was in grade 4? What if he didn't come to Amplified Youth and he didn't have that encounter with the Lord? What trajectory would he have been down in, or what path would he have been on now? So that brought a massive shift in his life. And so I really want to encourage parents, get your children, grade 7 and older, to youth, because then they can have an encounter with Jesus. Youth should be more important than school, because it is ultimately, it determines their direction and their destiny. And then secondly, we want to build out the Amplified Youth leadership team. So if this stirs in you to get involved, then I want you to speak to us or write down your name on a card and join one of our Amplified Youth teams. It's like every second Friday here in the youth center next door. And it really, I tell you, to impact a young person's life and steer them into a better direction. I mean, it's just the impact that I believe his life is going to have. It's huge. So there's an invitation for you guys to join us for that. Okay, awesome. Give them a hand. Thanks, guys.